Hey everybody, you are watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And I have with me cosplayer I Melt for Warm Hugs. So I am super excited to have you on, and I'm beyond stoked. So welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, no. I'm very excited to have you on. It's gonna be a fun interview, and obviously you're a cosplayer. You do a bunch of other fun stuff as well that we're gonna get into. And you just came back from Emerald City Comic Con, which we're gonna talk about because
Oh
I heard it
God.
was a great
Yes.
show.
So
I,
good.
I heard it was not red though. I heard it was not red. That's all I heard. But all jokes aside, I am very curious how you got into cosplay because everybody has a different way they got into cosplay, and I guarantee your way you got into cosplay is different than somebody else's. So I'm
Oh,
super curious.
I probably guarantee it. So I'm just gonna say I'm old. I'm 55. You know, so I grew up in like a whole different era, right? And I didn't even know what cosplay was. Um, I've got a couple of girls. I've got 7 grandkids, and when my girls were young, we did a lot of Girl Scouts. They grew up. We still did Girl Scouts. They moved out of the house. We still did Girl Scouts. My wife and I have a troop, and we do all the local stuff. We run the local community camp. Um, we're super into Girl Scouts, and that's where cosplay started for me indirectly. Was we host a giant annual party for that every year. And one year we had a Zumba dance instructor, and like we had like over 100 girls out there dancing, and it was like everybody was like super hot, and it was just really fun. But I was kind of sweaty, and after that I was like, hey, next year I'm doing a girl in a small costume, and my wife was like, okay, cool. So that's when I did my Tinkerbell version 1.0, was that next year. And my neighbor almost directly across the street from me, I love her. She's amazing. We talk all the time. She's given me probably close to half of the makeup that I own. But when I did that party, and she saw me and she was like, "Hey, let's get some pictures." She took some photos, and she said, "I'm taking you to Emerald City Comic Con." And I was like, "I okay, what's Comic Con?" Like I didn't even know. This is going back to like 2018, so not that long ago. And I was like, sure, you want to take me along? You're buying the ticket. I'll go. So I went with her and her husband. And that whole day was really overwhelming for me. Everybody wanted pictures, and they kept leaving me. They were like, hey, there's a line forming. You're getting pictures. We can see you because your wings are like 9 feet tall. We're going to move forward. We'll catch up with you later, and that was the day. And I remember kind of looking at all this being just so overwhelmed, like I'm an old person, like I have no idea what all this is, you know. And so I'm the fact that all these people wanted pictures with me and stuff, and I was like, okay. So I thought about it for probably 5 or 6 months, and I was like, I want to do this. This is my new hobby. So
So
that's
so
how I
so
got into it.
lot to break down. And I really want to tackle the first little bit of that where I'm very curious what that was like to go into Comic Con, having a little bit of probably nerd culture, because everybody has a little bit of nerd culture, but
Yeah.
not con culture. And it's a very different world in a lot of ways. And I would imagine that it's a bit of culture shock, is a nice way
Oh.
to put it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So they had a friend that came with them. So there was actually 4 of us. And I remember she asked me during the middle of the day, she was like, how are you dealing with all of this, notoriety, all these people wanting pictures? Do you like this? And my first reaction, I told her, I was like, no, this is like overwhelming. This is like weird. It's too much. And but the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of a peacock and I fucking love this. Sorry, can I use that word?
Yeah, you could curse. You could curse.
Okay, okay. But it took me a minute. Like I was just so new. Like I didn't know anything.
Yeah, now I really want to get into the cosplay stuff. So obviously you did Tinkerbell, And
Yeah.
obviously, you went from the Girl Scouts to Emerald City Comic Con with Tinkerbell. It's kind of
Yeah.
the path. Um, I was expecting maybe a smaller con in between, but
Nope.
we all sometimes go big or go home is the saying, right?
Yeah.
And so, what was this like in even creating that first Tinkerbell costume and cosplay? Because
Well, yeah, so when I was making it, I went online. I Googled a lot of different guys doing Tinkerbell cosplays, and I've I'm raised ultra conservative, so I didn't see non-binary stuff before now. Like that's something that wasn't even on my radar at all. And so I'm looking at a lot of these pictures on Google, and I'm like, guys with facial hair and stuff, and I'm like, no, if I can't pull this off, if I can't make people believe that I'm a girl and I'm Tinkerbell, I don't even want to do this at all. I mean, that was my thinking, but I really wanted to do it. It's just this thing where I was like, this is what I want. Like everything inside me is just like feminine, and I just was like, I just want to embody this, but it's got to look good. So I spent a lot of time, just making sure that I looked good, and I wasn't disappointed. When I got to the Girl Scout party, nobody recognized me. Like, we have a huge service unit. There's like all these moms, we have hundreds of girls. I got there, I'm the only guy that comes to these things, but nobody recognized me. I mean, seriously, everybody was kind of looking at me like, who are you? Are you like the new person? And so it was transformational. Like, I basically started telling people who I was, and they were like, oh yeah, now I know you. And so I had a lot of support from moms. So much. Women are just generally more supportive in general life, I feel. And so I had a lot of support from them. That same week, so that was Halloween week. That same week we did so I live in a really small town. There's like 8,000 people, I think, total in the town. And there's a giant trick or treat thing downtown where they like fill the street and block it off, and all the businesses give out candy. And I went to that year, and that was, I had a boost from all the moms at the party. And then I got downtown in public, and it was a whole different thing. I have all these guys. I could hear them laughing at me, talking at me behind my back, and it was one of those pieces where I had to kind of draw some lines, and I realized, what do I care about? What matters to me? And I started thinking about all the moms that were behind me, and all the ladies, and I was like, that's really who I care about. Their voice matters more to me than the guys laughing at me behind me.
yeah, and then obviously let's talk about how even you got to Emerald City Comic Con from there, because obviously you didn't really give a fuck, and obviously I'm at a stage and I'm not comparing, but I don't give a fuck about the white noise in the background.
Yeah.
People question my show, people question my business acumen, and I'm like, you can question it, that's fine, but I'm gonna keep doing what I want to do, and the people who are supporting me are going to continue to support me. And there's a lot more support than people realize. And what
Yeah.
I find is that the minority sometimes is the loudest. And that's what I find in a lot of ways, and that a lot of things go down that path where it's kind of the squeaky wheel makes a bunch of noise, but it's not the problem in reality. It's a good way to put it. But
Mhm.
I do want to talk a little bit about inside baseball with this, because obviously you've done a bunch of Tinkerbells, and we're going to talk about all the Tinkerbells. Yeah,
So
we're going to
just
talk.
just just so you know, like, I'm not really a sports fan. I don't watch sports, but I'm happy to talk baseball with you as long as you outline it.
Oh, I inside baseball is just a term for like this trades of the secret and all that fun stuff. Um,
Okay.
so I'm a huge sports guy. I'm a huge baseball card collector.
Okay.
It's neither here nor there. Anybody who knows me knows I love collecting, buying, and
Yeah.
selling stuff. And if there's money to be made, I'm probably there. Is the end
Right.
result that everybody can use against me later on in my life. But what is this like? Because obviously you spent a lot of time building your Tinkerbell. And what was that like, even just planning it and making it look good and figuring out how to properly do it? And then also pull it off. And obviously there's wings involved and wigs
Yeah.
involved and a bunch of other stuff. So what was that like? Because it's extensive. I mean, you got
So
9 feet wings, foot wings. It's pretty big.
yeah. Well, I think for me, like, so I guess to go back a little bit, at the time when I first built it, I was only familiar with the original old Tinkerbell. And what I realized is I'm going to a party where there's a lot of young girls and they're going to know all the new movies, and I don't know those movies. So I spent a lot of time watching them all, and just learning all of the characters, Rosetta, Silver Mist, Fawn, all these characters from the series. And honestly, I kind of fell in love with the series. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, why haven't I seen these before? It was just this thing where I was like trying to relate. I wanted to be relatable when I went to the party. But the other thing for me was a little bit of fear that I knew once I started doing it, I realized I could look the part, and I wanted my wings to be screen accurate. So that's why I built them 9 feet tall, because I think that would probably be about where they would be if everything, like screen accurate. But I also was terrified that some of these girls were gonna talk to me and that I would use this male voice. And so I thought, okay, so if you watch The Great Fairy Rescue, we learned that fairies talk in bells. When they talk, you just hear bells ringing. And so in the bun of my wig, I have a noisemaker that you can tap and it plays bells. And so that was how I talk, to the girls at the party. And I've kept that since then. When I go to Comic Cons, I'm all day long being stopped for pictures with little girls. And again, I don't want to, I want to be special for them. I want them to see Tinkerbell, and I don't want to ruin that by talking. So I just use my little, bell ringer noisemaker, and give them a lot of like happy smiles. But I don't really want to talk. Um,
So let's actually talk about that too, because this is one of the things that I think people miss in cosplay. And this is the part where we get slightly controversial a little bit, where, obviously there are people who are making a lot of money in cosplay and, they tend to do Patreon or OnlyFans or things of that nature. But I don't think those people are down on the ground at a con. And then
mhm,
there's the other side where maybe somebody, put effort into their cosplay, but it's not, I guess, the high end, or they're not interested in competing. They're interested in having a good time, but they embody, and I'm going to use Harley Quinn as an example because she's the easiest to use. They
yeah,
embody Harley Quinn and they give an experience, or what you were doing is giving an experience with Tinkerbell. And I
yeah,
think it's a big lost component of cosplay where I think people have forgotten, because I think that, I hate to say it, but I feel like people have become very monetized with this stuff and they've
yeah,
forgotten that it's cosplay or costume play is where it
yeah,
comes from. And I think it's a real problem. And I think that, especially the younger generation. I mean, I've had because I'm Nikki on, I've had a few other people, I've had AMH on. And obviously both those women are older. And I think it's a real problem that the older generation understands that it's supposed to be fun. And I
yeah,
think the younger generation has that big problem. And I'm 30, so I'm somewhere in the middle on this
yeah,
all, but I'm also not a cosplayer. But I think that's a problem that has occurred. And I think it's really interesting that the older generation in cosplay says we want to bring fun back, and the younger generation wants a paycheck.
yeah. I see that. I do. And for me, I- I've never done a cosplay contest. And a lot of people, I've sat in the audience a lot of times at cosplay contests, and everybody around me is going like, "Why aren't you up there? You could win this thing." And I just, I don't want to win anything. For me, it's more about just like the community. I just want to meet everybody that's doing it with me. I want to make, families, kids happy. Um, I, I don't know. I want to make myself happy. So, and that's part of how I do it, is just by making other people happy. But I don't feel like winning contests is the spirit that I want to propagate. Like that's just not I that's not why I'm in it. So I've never done one. Maybe someday I will. I don't know. I It's just not a desire of mine to be in a contest or win one. Um, yeah, yeah,
It's interesting. I mean, I'll be very honest. So, I love anime and I don't want to voice act. I view it as an escape and I don't want to ruin it for myself by attempting to even voice act. As much as it would be fun to voice a lead anime character, for me, I think it would ruin that entire genre and an escape for me. And I
yeah,
feel like that kind of is what I'm hearing from you, unless I'm wrong, where this is an escape and this is enjoyment, and if you
yeah,
then make it competitive, it kind of ruins it. And I think that's what I hear from a lot of people is
yeah,
that I have no desire to go compete. I have no desire to judge because
mhm,
then it becomes a job and it doesn't become a hobby anymore. And that's a
yeah,
problem, I think. And I think a lot of people don't recognize and realize that sometimes, having your hobbies and having your escapes is so much worth so much more than maybe making 500 bucks. Like, really? Like,
yeah,
but
exactly. I mean, you get a job, you can make that, in short time. So why why put yourself out there to try to make it, on the internet or whatever? Um,
but
if you look at my account, you'll see that I follow back very few people, and it's because I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but I also really want to connect with people around me. For me, a lot of this is like personal connection. I want to meet people in my area. I want to make friends, and I want to meet like-minded people that care about the same things that I do. So I don't always follow back everybody that follows me, and I realize I lose a lot of followers like that. Sometimes they'll follow me for a week and then they'll quit because I didn't follow them back. But maybe they live in Florida, and I realize I'm probably never going to see you in person. So unless your cosplay is like really off the chain spectacular, I'm not going to follow you back because for
that's
me,
interesting. That's
yeah,
interesting. I feel that we're in a very interesting era on social media where people want to follow you and then they want to follow back. And then what happens in my world is that I follow somebody, they follow me back, and then 6 months later they drop off. And
yeah,
what they're really trying to do is they're trying to just build up their follower account
right,
because it looks better. And it happens all the time on YouTube. There are channels that have 50,000 subscribers, yet they only do 10 plays on their videos, which means that it's not real. This is not a metric. Social media accounts are not metrics of somebody's talent. They're not metrics of a character of a person. And I think it's a real issue. And there's been a shift in that in media. I mean, Hot Topic is a really good example of that, where they used to want to work with people who had over 100,000 subscribers or followers on Instagram. Now they tend to work with people who are less than 20,000 because
hmm,
the engagement rate is actually higher with those cosplayers and those influencers who have less than 20,000 fans, and there's actually a better conversion rate, and it's actually better and it's easily more justifiable for their business metric versus working with somebody who has 4 million who has a
yeah,
2% conversion versus somebody who has 20,000 who has a 15% conversion.
yeah,
And I think they've realized that the people who have millions and millions of followers on Instagram, not all those fans are interacting.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's super interesting. But I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about Tinkerbell. I really want to
All
talk about
right.
Tinkerbell.
Yes.
Um, so I don't know which one's which. So you're gonna have to, I guess, correct me on certain things here. But
Sure.
I don't know if this is 1.0.
No, so that is 2.0. So the
I might have
wings,
1.0. I might have 1.0. Again. I'm not. That might be 2.0 as well.
no. So I don't know if I might have a 1.0 on my channel. I'm not sure. The original set of wings that I made for that Girl Scout party, I used for about a year, and then I gave them to one of the Girl Scouts that I'm really close with. I think she's probably like 21 now, maybe 22. I gave him to her a couple of years ago. Sweet kid, just like really nice girl. And huge fan of what I'm doing. And so one day I messaged and I was like, "Hey, do you want these wings?" Yeah. So I gave them to her. It's funny because I get requests all the time for people like, "Hey, do you do commissions? Would you make some wings?" And I'm like, "Hell no." Like, you have no idea how much this it takes so much time. I've got a real job. I do construction stuff and I can make more in a day than you would pay me to make these wings, and these wings are going to take like 10 days to make. Like I'm not, it's just not a thing. But I'm happy to give them away to somebody that matters to me.
So obviously that's that, and then you went into 2.0, which I think I showed. I think that's 2.0, right? That I
Yeah.
showed. So this
Yes.
is 2.0. I like this one a lot. I just like the fact that you're in a tree. I think it's kind
Yeah.
of funny, and in a lot of ways. I don't know if this is also 2.0, which is just
Yeah.
I don't know how you got in the jar. I'm very confused on how you got in
So
the jar.
I have a friend, Kiara. She is the Swedish ballerina, but I think she just recently changed her Instagram name, and I can't remember what it is. Basically, she's a witch, and so she's into like a lot of like witchcraft and druid stuff and things like that. And so she just changed her name, but she used to be a professional ballerina. I do parties at my house once in a while with local cosplayers. We come out, we hang out at my house, we have a party, and she's come out to my house. She's actually knitted me a Tinkerbell, just like from scratch, no pattern. She just knitted it for me. It's amazing. Can I grab it real quick?
Hey, go right ahead.
Okay, just give me a second. So, so this is what she made me, and like I said, just from scratch, like no patterns. She knitted these wings, the whole thing, just just off the cuff, right? So, but so I have these parties at my house, and she's come out. What I do is I'll take so I don't know if you can use Plex, but it's a media server thing. I have one here at the house. But I've taken a lot of photos from all the different cosplayers that when we do this, and I just put them on the screen. And so, like, I might have like a dozen people here, and I'll just put all of their like, best pictures up on the TV, and it just rotates all night long. So, we're having a party, having fun, and all of our cosplays are just rotating on the screen. But she's come out for some of those parties, and so she made me this Tinkerbell. And I forgot why we were talking about this.
Oh no, I was just saying that I was making a joke how you got into the
Oh, she
jar.
made this. So that's why we were talking about her. That edit was her. She just decided one day she wanted to do a photo editing thing. I think she was trying to learn photo editing. And so she contacted me and said, "Hey, can I use your pictures?" And I was like, "Go for it. You knock yourself out, girl." So yeah, so she did that just as a project.
And so what is that like? Because I think it's a brilliant photo in so many ways. It's a fun
Cool.
photo. It's just such a play on Tinkerbell in so many ways, and it's so Tinkerbell. I'm not. I can't say that any other way. Where
Yeah.
Tinkerbell, if anything, if there was any photo, Tinkerbell would be in a jar, right? I
Yes.
mean, I think Tinkerbell was in a jar in Peter Pan at one point, if I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
mistaken. And so that's why that photo is great. The fact that it's on Instagram, it's just fun and it's just so fitting. And so, what is that like? Because it was not intentional, but it just happened. And it's just like, but it's so simple. And I'm surprised, like, it wasn't done sooner or even intentional, but it just happened.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got to be honest, it had nothing to do with me. That photo. So there's a photographer that I love. He's not a real well-known photographer. Josh Shot Photography. Um, but he's actually kind of amazing. He's one of these guys that just kind of, he'll take a step back and look at things and go, let's look at a different angle. I want to do this differently than other people would. He'll try new stuff. It doesn't always work out, but it often does. He's got these insights and just different ways to look at things and angles that other people don't see. Like I said, he's not a big photographer. He doesn't have a big following. He's a great guy, and he's got an incredible eye. So that particular shot was done where he was actually doing a shot with another girl that was doing a Tinkerbell, and then she also brought a Wendy, and so she was doing both of those in the photo shoot. But she told him, she was like, "But I want Shane to do this shoot with me. I know I've booked the slot. I'm doing these costumes, but I want to do it with him." And so he was like, "All right." So that photo came out of that. That was part of actually her photo shoot that we did.
No, it's just a great shot, and that's the point. And then
Yeah.
the editing and everything that's involved in it. It's just a great shot, and it's just fantastic, and it screams Disney is the
Yeah.
point. And
Yeah.
then going into another version, I think of Tinkerbell that you did. There's this.
Yes. So there's a whole story behind that. So I found myself randomly in this in a chat. You get invited to these group chats. Well, or just put in them. And so one day I open up Instagram and I'm in a chat with like 20 other people, and I'm like, why am I in this chat? And so there was a photographer that had organized this and a couple other photographers that were also in it. And they were talking about how they wanted to do pinup versions of Disney characters. And I remember thinking, like, I don't even know what pinup is. Like, I don't know. Like, what even is that? So so I actually had to Google all this stuff. I'm like, because they were looking for like 50s versions of, pinup, like classy stuff, nothing too risque. And I remember, thinking like, okay, I gotta like hurry up and figure out what this stuff is. Like, I don't even understand it. And what they wanted was everybody to call out a princess that they were gonna do, or a Disney character, but only one per character. But I don't even realize why I'm in this chat. Like, I'm just like, how did I get here? Like, who added me? Like, what am I even doing here? And one of the girls called out for Tinkerbell, and like half the chat lit up, and everybody was like, nope, Shane's already got that one. And I was like, all right, now I know why I'm here. like like I had no idea. It was just all just hitting me like just for the first time. And so I'm just like trying to be quiet. I'm trying to blend in the background, and I was like, wow, I had no idea that I had a following, or like people that actually really, saw me. And so that group never actually took off. Apparently there was a lot of big personalities. I messaged the main photographer that put it together later, and I was like, hey, what's going on with the group? How come it's not taking off? And he was like, oh, we've had a lot of like drama, people getting upset about this or that. We're not going to do the shoot. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I've already researched pinup. I feel like I understand it now, and I want to do this. So I just did it on my own.
And so what is that like? Because it adds a twist to Tinkerbell. It adds a fun twist. It
Yeah.
adds another diversification to Tinkerbell and everything that you've done with Tinkerbell. And you could take it out and about, or you could put it away and you could utilize it however you see fit. If a convention comes up and you want to just mix things up, you could easily do it. And so what is that like? Because I can run the world of comics, and I guess the way I would describe it is that there's cover A, and then there's a variant cover, and this is a variant of
Yeah.
Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun because it just gives you more versatility, for lack of a
You
better word.
know, this whole thing was just like an exploration process and learning process for me. I started to understand that not everything has to be screen accurate. You can do variations on things. Um, so Kirsty Deathbright. She's one of my best friends, and she was kind of helping me with this. And I remember I was over at her house the first time I tried this dress on, and we started kind of putting things together. And her and I went out to a movie that night. We saw the second Frozen movie that night, and I actually wore that dress and some heels out in public, not the wings, but just the dress. That was the first time I ever went out doing anything that was kind of a cross-dressing thing. And there was like so much personal growth for me, and we went out, we went to this movie, and I had all these compliments. Like people were like, "Oh, your dress is so pretty. You look wonderful." Like seriously, like strangers. We were just out in public randomly. And I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody because I have this male voice. But it was a step for me. And the whole project was just doing something that wasn't screen accurate, just doing my own take on something. Um, there was a lot of growth there for that character. And honestly, since then, I've realized not everything has to be screen accurate, and sometimes it's better when it's not. It's just better to make it your own sometimes. And so that Tinkerbell version I do more often than the classic because I love it. It's one of those things where I just, it's nothing lewd. It's I view it as classy. I love doing the pearls, the lace gloves, the high heels. For me, it's just classy, and I love it.
Yeah, I'll be very honest. I'm not a big Lou Disney fan. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
I was offered a Lude Little Mermaid trading card exclusive set, and I politely turned down the option to purchase it
yeah,
of 25. Instead, I picked up an X-Men one. I thought it was a little bit more my style and a little bit more not appropriate is a good word to use. Um, Nothing against. I like Disney being classy, not
mhm,
racy. That's just me. Um, but yeah, it's so interesting because I appreciate when people mix things up and have fun with it and really go down this road and have
yes,
an interesting interpretation on something. I mean, I think it's fascinating, and I've seen a bunch of it, and I thoroughly enjoy when you go and you have an interpretation on Disney. Anybody for that matter, because Disney's Disney. I mean, I
mhm,
just saw Winnie the Pooh, Honey and Blood, and I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant.
mm,
Really, really brilliant. It was a good B movie that was not supposed to be a B movie. It was great. It was a great interpretation on it.
yeah,
Winnie the Pooh is in public domain now, so brilliant concept, super fascinating thing. And the moral of the story is that Christopher Robin should have never left. Is the moral
yeah,
of that story.
yeah,
But I digress because I do want to talk about Emerald City Comic Con with you and
yes,
Tinkerbell because I know you were there with Tinkerbell at least one day. And I know a lot of stuff happened. I know a lot of people were complimenting you. I know
yeah.
there were photo shoots going on. There was some other stuff that happened. And so, yeah, what was that like? Because that's kind of crazy that you were part of a photo shoot group with a bunch of people. I know that people obviously love Disney. Cons are now coming back,
Yeah.
all sorts of fun stuff.
So I'm gonna open that up a little bit more. So Tinkerbell is what I'm best known for, but the group I did Periwinkle, and that's another cosplay that I have. I've done some Periwinkle, and she's Tinkerbell's sister. For those of you who don't know, she is her twin sister, and their wings heal each other. If you've seen The Secret of the Wings, um, and again, I really fell in love with all the new Tinkerbell movies much more than the original old one. I'm a fan of the new ones, not so much a fan of the old one. Once I've seen them, it just opened up my world. But what happened there was there's a group of girls that do a local princess party company here in the Seattle area. And, they're all just these, young, beautiful girls that do this as a, profession, hobby, and so they all know each other from this company. And they had arranged this whole fairy shoot. The idea was they wanted to do fairies based off of princesses. So there's like a Snow White one, a Cinderella one, a Belle one, Mirabella. There's just all the princesses, right? Vanellope from the like Wreck-It Ralph, all these different different princess fairies. And so they would theme them after those and then create what they thought that would look like. So they already had their group. And they reached out to me and said, "Would you like to join our group?" And I was like, "Say what?" Like for me, it was just like I'm being invited to do this thing with these girls that are like, like I said, like they're professional princesses, and each of them is just spectacular and gorgeous in their own way. And I'm like this old person. I'm like 55, and they're reaching out to me asking me to join them. And of course, that's like all I want. Like, I want to be part of that. Yeah. Like, you're inviting me? Yeah, I want to be there. And so it, it, I'm going to say I cried. Like, it was overwhelming for me. I was just like, I can't even believe they're inviting me to do this with them. But what I realized is my wings are fucking massive. And so I did not want to peacock. I was just like, I just want to fit in. I want to get invited to the next one that we're doing. Like they're inviting me. I just want to go along and get along and just be part of the group. I just want to like show these girls some love and just, be happy to be part of the group and just be one of them. I just didn't want to stand out. And so I redesigned some things. I made a whole nother set of wings for that were smaller, and I did realize though that they're all kind of top shelf, like they're, they're the stuff they did was just it was amazing. I mean, so I wanted to up my game a little bit just to fit in, but I also didn't want to peacock. So um I did some upgrades on the periwinkle dress. I haven't posted any of that stuff yet, but there's flowers all over it. Super cute. But I just remember like being in the middle of all this and looking at all these girls and all the things they did and just thinking to myself, stop. Like all of you are just gorgeous and amazing and just so damn cute. Stop. Just like I'm part of this. And it was life changing.
Yeah. So what is that like? Because obviously, now you're part of a group, whether it's for this con, hopefully getting invited for the next one, and now you're getting association, and obviously, you're not looking to make a career out of this, but
No.
it's still nice to get that validation because validation is always nice. It's kind of like, when I get a top interview with somebody who is famous, and then, they're on national television 2 weeks later. I'm like, oh, snap, I'm kind of in that realm. And then, the person calls me up out of the blue and they have my number, like, Andrew, what's your phone number? And I talk to them like legitly like a week before. And I'm like, oh, snap. You were just speaking to 150,000 people on Friday night.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's very, very nice because it doesn't change my economic bracket, but it also says, hey, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Well, this felt that way for me. I know some of these girls I've seen in the cosplay community for the last, several years, ever since I started. And I've looked at them from afar and thought, I'd love to get to know you better. Like I'd love to be your friend. I want to get closer to you, but I'm not gonna reach out or put myself out there. I'm just gonna kind of just, whatever, do my thing. But I got to know a, a bunch of them this last weekend because of this group, and I really felt some support and some love from them. Um, yeah, it was it was life changing, you know, and like I said, a lot of them have, you know, big followings and stuff. I think it was less important for me though than just the fact that they saw me, you know. Yeah.
It's interesting in which that I'm very honest. Where some cosplayers who have big followings are nice and they're great and they're fantastic, and then others the egos to their head. And it sounds like this group, the ego thing wasn't there.
No.
And I hate to say it, but I come from the world of comics, and ego is a big thing. And I try to suppress my ego as much as possible because I want to make things work. And obviously, I run this show, and it's just a good trait to have. But it sounds like these people aren't too far gone, for lack of a better word,
No.
despite their big following. Is all I'm going to say. Um,
Mm.
and then even talking about just Emerald City Comic Con, I mean, what was the vibe like? Because obviously, I mean, when you were Tinkerbell, I'm going to talk about a few others that you were at that event. What was that like? Because obviously people do compliment you, and when they were stopping, and obviously it's Disney, it's Tinkerbell, it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and all sorts of fun stuff, and Periwinkle and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I did Periwinkle with the group. Like I said, they already had a Tinkerbell, and then all of the other girls did princess inspired fairies. So since I already have a Periwinkle, they invited me. But then again, I felt the need to like upgrade it and downgrade it. I want to just make sure I fit in, but also look really pretty. And um, the rest of the weekend was it was a lot. So Saturday I did Supergirl. So Friday was our big photo shoot, and then Saturday I went and I had costume malfunctions. Saturday, yes, there's Supergirl. Saturday was not a good day for me starting out. I So that costume was donated to me from a fellow cosplayer when I first started cosplay. So backing up a little bit, Geek Girl is my favorite con. I love it. And it's honestly it's so pure. When you go to Geek Girl, there's just all this like female energy, but it's all supportive. It's all just like women in STEM and how can we help each other and like everybody supporting each other. You don't get this feeling from any other con. Geek Girl is all about just like, female empowerment, but not just that. It's just like women supporting women, and it's just in the air. When you go to Geek Girl, it's just electric. And so I went to Geek Girl one of the first years when I started cosplaying, and Lauren, Takamina Cosplay, she was one of my first friends that I made at the con, and she was doing Supergirl, wearing that exact costume. And we connected, and my wife and I were at the time we're watching Supergirl. I love Supergirl. I'm all about Supergirl, way more than Superman. I mean, he's just this loner. I don't need any help. I got this. Like I'm the most powerful guy. Back off. And Supergirl is equally as powerful, but she's just like relatable. She's one of those people that's just, I care about how you feel. I want to, help, but I don't want to like overstep my boundaries. Let's do this together as a team. She's just Supergirl's a hero. She's just always going to be one of mine. And so Lauren and I connected on this. And, it was a few years later. She just messaged me out of the blue one day and said, I'm ready to retire this costume. And would you like it? And I was like, yeah. So I actually made the boots because obviously I have huge feet compared to her. So those boots were made from scratch. I bought the shoes at Walmart for, I don't know, probably like $6 or $7 on clearance, and just made the rest of the boots around them. And and then she gave me the costume. But the boots on Saturday, so the zippers that I put in the back, so they're very form fitting. I had to sew these a couple of times on the first leg, and then I was able to get the second one right away. But it's just trying to find that exact form. I wanted them to like fit like a glove, basically, on my legs. And so I had to sew them a few times. And I don't know if it was me or whatever, but there's a spot that's about an inch long on the back of the boots where the zippers started to like tear and come apart from the boot. And so I was dealing with that on Saturday, and I was able to get the boot on, get it zipped up. I need to fix it, but there was some other stuff, and I just was like frustrated and like I don't even want to go. But I went, and I was foul in a foul mood for probably an hour. But honestly, the community that we're in Seattle, I'm fairly well known. I feel like everybody knows me, everybody likes me. I had so many positive people just at my side, giving me hugs, and I was like, I just need to get over this negative feeling that I'm feeling and just enjoy the day. And I did. I ended up going to the after party in that costume later. Supergirl, like I said, is one of my heroes. But I also, the fact that she was given to me by somebody that I really respect and love, that also means a lot to me. I feel Lauren every time I wear her, and just her support. I feel it's not just Supergirl; it's the fact that Lauren gave her to me. Um, but the after party was amazing. Um, I I don't even know how to describe that, but I was
I've
at
never been.
three.
I've never been to an after party at a con. I have no desire. I prefer after to go back to my hotel room or go back to my home and chill out. Like I
Yeah.
really, really prefer that. Like it's not my jam. Like I'm a very boring individual, and I love like playing. Going home and I'll just go on my Xbox and play a bunch of video games with like all my friends that are
Yeah,
not near me, and it's great because I'm walking around all day and I'm exhausted.
yeah, yeah. I get that. And I probably would feel that way too. But the after party has actually become such a tradition for me. I feel like I can't miss it. Um, and even though, like I said, I'm just an old guy, but it's just one of those things where I'm willing to lose a few hours of sleep for that party. And this year, I actually spent a little time with the DJ because there's a live DJ. She's back there, like, mixing and working all the electronic, turntable stuff, and it's all live. And so that was fun just to make a new friend there. And just, I don't know, people are just a little more loose. So there's all the cosplayers that I know. They're just kind of having a good time. Last year, cosplay's been a whole journey for me as far as my sexuality and my gender. I don't really have a sexuality, like I'm kind of asexual, but my just my gender identification. I remember last year, so one of the Quididity cosplays, Hannah Lore, she was there, and she invited me to come to the ladies' room for the first time last year, and that was a huge step for me. Like it was emotional. It kind of broke me. I was just like, she welcomed me. She was like, "You're one of us," and just somebody like taking my hand and like leading me in was just it opened up doors for me. It was huge. But that happened at the party, and part of it's just because I guess maybe people have been drinking or whatever, but I, it was monumental. So things like that happen at the party, and so I'm probably always going to go. Yeah, it was huge. Although, so this weekend, so I don't really know what happened, but somebody had said that people were doing something to people's drinks, and they were getting drunk like way faster than they should have been. So, and I think that did happen, and I think it did happen to me. So one of the cosplayers that I'm friends with, Kitty Softpaws. So she apparently had a whole conversation with me in the ladies' room that I didn't remember. And so after the con, I'm just kind of like at home on Monday, and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I really wanted to see you. Like, I was looking for you at the party. And she was like, we talked at the party. We were in the ladies' room. We had this whole conversation. And I was like, oh, I don't remember that at all. And so then I started seeing other people had similar experiences. So that was
This
a little
is this is
weird.
why apparently so I come from the comic side. And every year in San Diego, there's stories that come out. And basically me and a bunch of other people who have basically said we have pretty good lives, said we're never ever gonna go to an after party because nothing good can come out of it. For me, nothing good can come out of it. And I run a business. So I have a good life, I have a great position, and I will be happily in my apartment or in my hotel room, not ever putting me at risk or my business at risk. And
Yeah.
me and a bunch of writers and a bunch of artists have made that decision because we see exactly what happens at San Diego and every other major con. Emerald City is not an exclusion to that list.
Yeah.
So there's a rationale because what
No,
you
I
just
see.
described is the exact reason why.
Yeah, and honestly, everybody I talked to that had those experiences were all girls, and I was included in that. I think I passed well enough that whoever drugged me probably didn't realize that that I'm also male, and so it was a lot. I realized after leaving the party at 2 a.m., I realized that I wasn't in any shape to drive home. So I actually went back to the parking garage and slept in my car for like 4 hours. I didn't leave until like 6 a.m. to go home. So when I got home on Sunday, so that's the day I came back and did my pinup tink. But I was late getting there just because like I said, I was passed out the night before and got there late. I was feeling like shit, but I almost felt like I'm just not gonna go. Like I'm just not even gonna show up. But what I realized is this is my iconic costume. This is what most people know me as, and I'm just gonna suck it up and go. And I did. I didn't do all of the pieces that I normally do, but when I got there, I made so many people happy. It was just that day and that costume, I could tell meant more to other people than anything I had done all weekend. It always does. I can't move in that costume without people wanting pictures and wanting to talk to me and wanting to compliment me. I can't walk 10 feet in it.
That's a real
So
problem, you know. I'm so sorry about that problem for you. You could tell how sympathetic I am here.
but I'm glad I went, and it's just like I said, I was feeling like shit that day. I didn't want to go, but I realized, it was important, not just to me, but to a lot of other people. And it didn't disappoint. I took so many pictures with little girls, and it was just like I'm never gonna see any of these. They're all just little kids. Like I'm not gonna ask for their contact information, but I'm glad that I made them happy. So
You'd be surprised. A lot of those pictures aren't hard to find. They're not hard to find. You'd be surprised. A lot of people put them up, and
mm,
I've seen it where a lot of people create collages online now, and it's awesome.
mm,
It's
mm,
crazy. Like I've seen, like when I used to cosplay, I've been in a bunch of people's collages. I'm like, that's me. Holy shit! Like
yeah,
it's the weirdest thing ever. Like it's some random YouTube like freaking collage back in the day. Oh, it's great. But yeah, no. Obviously, that's great. I'm glad you went. I'm glad you went.
yeah,
I really am.
yeah,
On that day, despite the incident the night before,
yeah,
I think it is important. And there is something else I do want to talk about relating to Disney with you. It's this
yeah.
one.
Yes.
Now,
So
I feel very cold when I talk about this one because it's
so
Winter Bell.
There's a whole story behind that. So Geek Girl, that was Geek Girl that I did that costume for. So this was, I think, the second time I'd done Geek Girl, and by this time I'm feeling like really plugged into the community. And what I realized is I wanted to do a feminine costume, but I didn't have enough of them to fill out the weekend. And so I threw up in my story, just off my Instagram. I threw up in my story. I was like, hey, does anybody have like a costume that they'd be willing to loan me for Geek Girl? And Jenny, Jay Ives, she's changed her Instagram. I can't remember what she's changed it to now. But anyway, she's like won like tons of contests and other things. She's very renowned in the Seattle area. So she messaged me and was like, you can raid my closet. You can have anything that I have. And so another girl, Hannah, messaged me. Miss Tayo is her Instagram. She messaged me. This all happened in like 15 minutes of when I put up the post. She messaged me and said, you know, um, I've got some wigs and things like that. Like you can have anything that I've got. And so between the two of them, I was like, okay. So Jenny, like I said, she has award-winning costumes. These are ball gowns that fill entire rooms, some of her stuff. And I thought, I don't want to be responsible for that. I mean, she's put like hundreds of hours of work into some of these things. So I looked through her stuff and I was like, the Winter Bell seems like something that I could probably take the responsibility of not like ruining it, or like, it just seemed like something that I could pull off without feeling too much responsibility. So that's the one I ended up borrowing from her. And then Hannah gave me the bell wig. And so she had it waiting for me at the con. So the first day that I went to I think her boyfriend had it for me in one of the booths at one of the vendors' booths. So I picked it up. So I was able to wear it the next day. But just because of them loaning me those pieces, I made a couple of lifetime friends. I mean, I love both of those girls. They're close. I love them. But it all started with them just responding to my story saying, I got you. Whatever you want.
Yeah,
Bring the closet.
what is that like? That obviously within a few minutes, obviously people are responding to you, and I guess really supportive and also trusting. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds weird where there's a saying, and sometimes everybody in Hollywood in television owes somebody at some point, and I'm no different as far as podcasts, where there were shows and people that put me on the map, or at least gave me a starting point and gave me a really good starting point. And so obviously you owe those people. And it's not like you owe them your life, but they sort of, these two women really helped you out in
Yeah.
a really cool way where when you needed help, they were there. And I have
Yeah.
people who have been there when I needed help, and it's not who you expect.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really look at it like a debt, like I owe them. I look at it like if they needed anything from me, I love them. Like they're my friends. I'd do anything for them. Um, I mean, yeah, if they wanted to borrow anything of mine, my closet's open for them as well. Um, but yeah, it was that costume was a lot for me. When I did it, I so I don't always do a lot of like pre-work before I do stuff. And makeup is something I've had to learn along the way. Like, just sidebar, but when I first did my first Tinkerbell for the Girl Scout party, I didn't know how to do makeup. My next door neighbor did it for me. And I realized I need to learn how to do this myself. So I started going on YouTube and just like looking at makeup tutorials and a lot of like transgender stuff, like how do you compensate for all the things, like men have deeper eye sockets, and the chins are different and all these things, and so you have to compensate to try to like balance all that out to make it look feminine. And so it, just them supporting me, meant a lot for me, I think. It just, all of this has been like steps along my journey, just people supporting me. And
and then
honestly,
yeah.
almost all of them have been women.
And then even going further into this, because I think I can say, because you mentioned your age already, so I don't think it's
Mhm.
offensive. Um, Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of discrimination against older cosplayers
Yes.
of any gender, of any sexuality, of any creed. I think that if you are 50 and above, there's massive discrimination. I think if you're 40
Yeah.
and above, there's massive discrimination. Um, I was speaking with AMH Cosplay. She runs
Ooh.
one of the biggest groups. That's how I think I found you, through her
Yeah,
group.
she does over 40 cosplay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The name was slipping, and I don't want to get it wrong.
Anna.
Um, but
Anna.
I've had Chris on,
She's, yeah.
Nikki on. I've had
One N,
Chloe.
not two.
What'd you say?
One N, not two. Anna or Anna. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. I just don't want to get anything wrong, and I don't want to like mislead anybody here.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. There's all these older cosplayers that I've spoken to, and they have a harder time, and it's
Yeah.
a real issue. And I think even to get support on that level for any older cosplayer who gets an opportunity, you know, it's kind of nice, and I think it's a really cool thing. Let alone, I guess what you're dealing with too on top of it for lack of a better word, and the additional hurdle perhaps is a good way how to put it.
Yeah, it is an additional hurdle, but at the same time, I think I'm also a little special in that I'm niche. Not a lot of people that have grown up as men like I have are doing crossplays in their 50s. So, and I've really embraced my femininity. And so I think that's a little rare. And so I think I do get some bonus points sometimes from people that get it.
Get
Not from everybody.
some leeway, some brownie points, some wiggle room.
Yeah. But only from people that see me. I mean, not everybody. A lot of people dismiss me right out of hand, and I actually get shunned a lot from the mainstream, I'll say. Um, it's not popular, but the people that get me, people like Jenny and Hannah that loan me those costumes, they get me, and they will go to the ends of the earth to help me.
It's interesting you bring this up because I ran a Kickstarter for this show, and I actually threw out a call. And I threw out a call to 10 male cosplayers because male cosplayers have a hard time too. And
Yeah.
getting attention, I said, let's potentially do what is known as a revenue split, or perhaps we could work out a deal. And I'm going to put you on a metal card as one of my perks for what I was doing for the show. And 9 out of the 10 did not answer me.
Hmm.
It was a gay black man who I interviewed previously named TJ Croft, who was just starting to get popular, who's like, yeah, man, let's do it. And I was kind of a little bit, shocked as I'm like, here I have an opportunity. I'm gonna either pay you or we're gonna have a rev split or we're going to have a merch split. And 9 out of the 10, 90% didn't answer. So I don't even think it's that. I think that, it's also the fact that you want to do this. And I think
Hmm.
that's half the battle, if not more. I really
Yeah.
do. DJ wanted to do something. Me and DJ are good friends, and it was a business arrangement, but he's been on my show a bunch of times, and he did really well because he sold out of a bunch of metal cards at $15 a pop. And so if he sells out of 30 metal cards that were funded by the Kickstarter, he's ahead, I'm ahead, and everybody's happy. And I was just saying, like, this is why I feel there's, issues where if you want something, you throw yourself out there, I think that's half the battle. And I look at a lot of cosplayers and sometimes they're struggling. And I'm like, but I threw out an opportunity and nobody bid at it. Like,
Mhm.
so I think it's that it's not even so much wiggle room. I think it's that you're saying, I want to do this. And when somebody says, I want to do
Yeah.
this, people tend to move out of the way, you know, and
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just it's down to there's a lot of moving pieces there. Yes, you have to put yourself out there, and I do. I'm willing to put myself out there. But also for me, like I said, what I'm doing is pretty niche, but so when I put myself out there, I think 95% of the people out there are going to look the other way and just not want to even see me. But that 5% that sees me, they fucking love me. And they want to support me. They're going to get behind me. They're going to put themselves out there for me. It's very much like that. And what I've learned is I'm going to value and care about the people that are supporting me. So I'm there for them.
I think what you're doing is great. I think what you're doing is great, and obviously you hit something, and clearly, sometimes maybe all you need is 5% of the people if they're diehard fans.
Yeah.
There's a book. You only need 1,000 customers.
Yeah.
If they're all paying you $100 a month, you only need 1,000 customers, and you have a good business in life.
All I really wanted out of this was just to connect with people that are local to me, make some friends. Like I'm not trying to build like a massive, like social media presence. The only reason I put myself out there was to get, some people back. I want to make some like real human connections, and I have that.
And then
So
conquering the world is next week, right?
which one?
Conquering the world is next week, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. I've already got what I need. I've got real people invested in me.
It's super interesting, and obviously, I don't just ask anybody to be on my show. I vet everybody, and I'm well aware of who's who, and I spot talent from miles out. I've been doing it a long time, everybody, and so for anybody who questions why somebody's on my show, there's a good reason why people are on my show who may not fit, the mainstream is a good way to put it. But what I've learned is that mainstream's kind of boring lately.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring. I'm just saying it's kind of boring. But I digress. I do want to talk about My Hero Academia because I do like that show. And we're briefly going to talk about it. We got All Might right here.
Yes.
And then we got Tododokuri, and
Yeah.
Dave Matrenga is a very interesting individual. I had a 2.5-hour conversation with him. So super interesting guy. I have his phone number. Don't ask everybody. I politely asked him for an interview. That's how it happened. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool interview.
That's amazing.
Super interesting guy. And so, what's the story of My Hero Academia? Because that's good stuff.
Honestly, I never really gave anime a thought until I started cosplaying, and there's a lot of cosplayers that are into anime. And I saw a lot of people, doing My Hero Academia cosplays, and I was like, I guess I should check this stuff out. I've watched some other animes because of it, but that's probably my favorite one. And I think just because I love the show and because so many other people were doing those cosplays, I thought, well, I'll do one. I'll call him Small Might, the All Might that's powered down. He's considered Small Might. I felt like that was more honest for me. I thought, like I'm in my 50s. Like in my 40s, I actually did spend a little time in the gym, and I was, I bulked up, okay. And I mean that's kind of like a strong man's game, trying to portray All Might. But Small Might, I just feels he's more relatable to me. Like it's just one of those things where I'm like, we all have those times where we don't want to be seen. We need to power down when we're not in the public view. We need to get away and just be invisible, for a bit. And that's why I really related to that version of him more than the other. I thought it just felt more real. We're all just trying to figure out how to take care of ourselves, and how to deal with everyone else, but we need to retreat, and be able to be weak once in a while. So that's what really attracted me to that character. The Todoroki, I think for me, if you look at all the children in the show, and there's a lot of them, he's just super humble. He's super powerful. Like, he's badass. I think he's probably the best of them all, but he's very humble. And it's this piece where he's also wrestling through a lot of stuff that's complex. He's got this dad that expects something of him, and that related to me a lot. I've got this dad that wanted me to be this like strong male figure, and I'm not. And but that's what he wanted of me, and I disappointed my father, right? And it took me a lot of years to realize that's not my problem. Like, but it took me a long time to get there. And Todoroki's dealing with this. He's got this father who has all these like heavy expectations, and he loves his mother, who's given him these different powers. And I don't know, I just felt a real connection to that character, and I loved his humility. Just the fact that he's not out there trying to like beat anybody. He's just trying to be himself and trying to figure himself out.
Yeah, I like the fact that also that he didn't pass the exam the first time. That adds to his humbleness, and that there's other things that are going on. And obviously, I don't want to ruin my hero for anybody. I'm also a season behind.
Yeah.
I'm not watching season 6. I'm gonna binge season 6. I think it's still going on, right? I mean, last time I checked, but it's neither here nor there. But I love My Hero. I think My Hero is really well done. I
It
think
is
it's
done.
really good. For those who are interested in My Hero, I recommend 2 other things for everybody to read: Super Folks and Astro City. Astro City is a comic that was done in the 90s, very similar to My Hero, where everybody lives in Astro City has a superpower, and they
Wow.
also have sort of day jobs. Like 90% of them have superpowers, but they're not all heroes. And then Super Folks is pretty much where Astro City came from, which is where My
Mm.
Hero came from. So if you like that stuff and you want to read some cool stuff and have good stuff, those are my 2 recommendations. But I don't recommend everything, guys. I don't. There's plenty of stuff that's not good to read. But definitely read Astro City is my point.
Mm.
Um,
So,
but
so one more thing on My Hero. I have a third cosplay that I've never done, but I have the pieces for that I've made. Um, Ochako Uraraka. So she's a Ravity from that series. I have a cosplay of her. Um, Honestly, I've gained a little weight, and she's got this skin tight bodysuit, and I haven't felt comfortable yet to cosplay her. But I made her stuff. I have the boots, I've got the belt and the buckle and the bracers for the arms and all that. And I've spent so much time sanding and painting and sanding and painting. I can see my face in those pieces. They shine so well. It's amazing. Like they're sitting in my garage, and I don't know if I'll ever actually put them on for a convention. I kind of gave up on them. Just like the amount of work I was putting into them was like defeating. And also I wasn't sure that I could really do the skin tight outfit. So I don't know. Maybe I will do her someday. I've got her. She's complete.
well, I'll be a fan to see it. I'll be very excited to see it. Is all I'm going to say, and so a lot of people, because people love My Hero, and it's
Yeah.
just it's an easy cosplay that people enjoy. But I do want to back out. I know I'm missing some of your cosplays. I don't think I'm missing too many, though. I don't think I'm missing too many.
No,
I
you're
know there's
good.
like maybe 3 or 4 that I'm missing at the most. Um, but I definitely want to, take a step outside of cosplay, and I'm very curious. And we touched upon it a little bit, but where do you feel and see the cosplay, I guess community and everything going? Because there's been a lot of interesting things that have happened due to COVID, where I feel, and again, I'm going to get controversial. A lot of the top cosplayers I felt were gatekeeping in a lot of ways, and I feel like the gates have come down because without cons for almost 2 years, everybody was online and everybody was at a starting point. And we've seen a lot of people do Instagram cosplays or closet cosplays or do, virtual stuff. And I feel like that has actually almost equalized a lot of this. And it's very interesting because a lot of people who only had 4,000 Instagram, things where we're doing cosplays every week during COVID now have like 30, 40, 50,000 followers. And I feel even people who have 3,000 followers are treated a hell of a lot better. And so I'm very curious how you feel about that, because it seems to me that the community has almost reset itself to be more normal and not be celebrity oriented. And that's just how I view it as somebody
Yeah,
who has a lot of
I
cosplay.
think it has, but a lot of it has been, I think, changes within Instagram, and like for me, I don't think that's affected me because I don't do videos or reels, and so those that do have seen an incredible spike in their followings, because Instagram is prioritizing that. Um,
But I even think just the way I view it is that I think 3 years ago somebody had only 2,000 followers on Instagram. They were looked down to be inferior, and now a lot of people only have 2,000. And there's been a change, I think, in viewpoint in a lot of ways, where I think it's now the idea if you have 4,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 followers on Instagram, you're viewed as if you have like 30,000. In which that
yeah,
I think there's been a change in viewpoint and in change in credibility. And I don't even think it's so much the reels or anything like that. I think that's part of it too. But I also think that there's been this idea of saying, wait a second, like without the top talent, because a lot of them during COVID, did nothing. And it
yeah,
allowed for this younger generation or this new generation to pop up in no matter what age. And it was super interesting because I don't think that stopped. And that's why I think it's so interesting right now. And this is what I mean, where I have figured out that I get, somebody who has 3,000 followers on Instagram has just as much credibility as somebody who has a million now, where 4 or 5 years ago that wasn't the case in my business as an interviewer.
yeah, yeah. I I don't know.
You could plead
You
the
probably
fifth.
know.
You could plead the fifth anytime you want. You could plead the fifth.
I, you know more about it than I do, I think. Like I said, I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram. I watched TikTok take off. Decided I'm just not a video guy. Like I don't really want to be on that. And Instagram tried to compete with doing their reels, and they're prioritizing those now. That's fine. Like I don't. I got what I needed out of it. I made friends. I got validation. I've been able to advance my life. Just becoming more comfortable with being gender fluid. Um, and I have people that support me in that, so I feel okay. It's like I'm allowed to be who I want to be now because I have people that support me. So I don't feel the need to keep pushing. So I haven't really paid attention to social media honestly in the last couple of years. Like I don't care that much.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The only reason why I care is that it benefits my business and it benefits all my businesses.
Yeah.
And so I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but I actively participate in it.
Mm.
And I schedule a lot of things out so that at 4 in the morning, a tweet goes out, but I'm in my bed, nice tucked in and
Yeah.
sleeping, guys, sleeping. But there's a reason why, because it is nice and beneficial, and that's the whole thing. But and then I am curious though, what is next for you in cosplay? Because you've done some Disney stuff. I think there's another Disney princess somewhere in you that needs to happen. I don't know which one yet, but I'm excited to see which
Yes.
one, and I
I
would also like to see some more anime. To be
I
quite
don't
honest.
I don't know either. And yes, I want to do more anime. Honestly, I would like to do a lot more anime, and maybe not even My Hero. Like I've seen some other shows. I remember like Honda from Fruit Baskets. She was one that I was like, oh, like she's just like the sweetest person ever. She's just this person that like, you know, just so much generosity in her heart, and and I was like, that is who I want to embody. I want to believe in people and help people and just like, you know, give love. And I remember just thinking like, I want to cosplay her just because I love who she is. Um, So, and there's a lot of other ones out there, but yeah, I want to do some more anime. And as far as like Disney, I I still don't know why I haven't done an Olaf. I mean, my account name is imeltforwarmhugs, and I love Olaf. And so, like, honestly, the where that kind of came from was going back to the beginning of our interview when I did the Girl Scout party and we did the big dance and I got sweaty. I was wearing an Olaf costume for that party. It was fleece, it was hot. We were all out there dancing, and that's actually what started me. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm doing Tinkerbell next year. So, that's where it kind of began. But I'm a huge Olaf fan, and I keep every time I keep thinking about it, I'm like, why haven't I done Olaf? It's who I am. So I need to do that, and yeah, some princesses, and honestly, probably the girlier the better. I want to do something with, like, maybe a lot of pink in it. I don't know, something just super girly.
Well, there is a movie coming out in April that does have a pink princess in it. I'm just saying. Yeah, let's go. Um,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a great movie, guys. It's gonna be a great movie. It's gonna
yeah.
be epic. I mean, Jack Black as Bowser. I don't think you can go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong. And you
I
got
have a I have a funny story from so Princess Peach, um, the voice for her. I was walking through one of the cons last year. Like, I don't always pay attention to people. Like, I don't always know who they are. Like the special celebrities, I don't always realize, like, who they are. And I was just walking through one of those aisles, and she actually jumped out and was like, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" And I was like, "Okay, like, I don't even know who you are, but sure." So we got this picture together, and then I looked her up, and I was like, "Oh, she's the voices for Princess Peach." So we've actually become friends since then, and we talk sometimes. But like, it was not from the video game; it was just from her wanting a picture with me, and I was like, "Now we're friends."
it's a small world. It's a
Right?
small world,
Yeah,
and who I know, who you know, who everybody knows, it's a small world, and it's weird. It's a weird small world, and
yeah,
my friendships are weird too, and things don't happen on conflicts for me. Legitimately, I just slide into people's Instagrams
yeah.
just like that, and I'm like, "Hey, I would love to interview you." And person's like, "I got nothing going on next week. Let's do it." And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh snap!" Like
yeah,
it's great because a lot of the people I interview in the voice acting community, they are my childhood heroes. And now I'm 30, and I was watching you when I was 12 and speaking to my friends. We're watching you on Saturday night, Monday morning before class starts in high school. We're talking about what we watched. And now I'm
yeah.
interviewing these people. So it's super interesting. But I do want to give you a chance to self promote yourself. Obviously, where could people find you on the internet? Where could people hit you up? Where could people like your cosplays? All that stuff. Because I think it is important that people follow you on social media. I think preferably Instagram for the
That's
most part. But obviously, every follower and comment and every like on a photo, it's a good thing. And it lets people know, hey, I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm only on Instagram. That happened for me because, like, Facebook's been around forever, and I have a personal Facebook that, I've got a lot of people connected on that. But I grew up ultra conservative, and I actually went to a Christian college that was like cultish, really. It was super uh, super bad. But there's a lot of people in my life that would not support me now. And I've gotten to a place where I've moved beyond all that, and I don't want to be part of their lives anymore. I want to just move on and be who I am. But I mean, there's only one Facebook, so you're connected to all these people from your previous life. And so when I started doing, I thought, I need a new platform. I need to be able to separate my old life from who I really want to be. And so when I started doing Instagram, I blocked everybody that was, unsupportive, or I thought might be unsupportive of what I'm doing. On Instagram, I've got over 2,000 accounts blocked that I, thought might be an issue or have been an issue for me. I know it's a lot, but I think it created more of a safe space for me to be able to do that. And I have an open account; it's not private, but I've blocked so many people that I feel like it's probably fine. So
Well. I think your Instagram is I melt for warm hugs.
yes,
So obviously, if you want to be supportive and you like Tinkerbell or Disney princesses, it's a pretty cool cosplay Instagram to follow. That's all I'm going to say
thank
on
you,
that front.
thank you.
I think it'll be very positive if you're a fan of Disney and you like Disney stuff in particular, and you like princesses. And so I'm just going to say, and I'm going to keep saying it, that you have to support people. You have to support cosplayers. Cosplayers who have merch, who have prints, who have things. Obviously, if they're guesting at cons, whether or they're even going to a con, you need to support them. And obviously, if they financially supporting them matters too, because it helps tremendously if they have that option available. But even following them and just liking their pictures, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. Or even saying, great Tinkerbell and just sharing a comment.
Yeah,
Because believe me, everybody has a rough day and everybody appreciates a compliment. Everybody appreciates a compliment.
yeah.
It can make or break somebody's day. And, it's always nice when I get a compliment and I put up a compliment. Someone's like, dude, where'd you get that book? It always makes me feel special. Or, man, that's awesome. I love that book. That brings me back childhood memories. And it happens all the time on my Instagram. And it makes me feel cool that somebody's like, dude, that's awesome that you have that thing going on. And so obviously that's something that's really cool for me. And I would imagine when you do something very nice with your Tinkerbells, same thing,
I,
so
yeah, I think for me, one of the things that sticks with me and that I'm most happy about is I get messages from teenagers all the time where they just like some random kid will just message me and be like, "Hey, you're super inspiring. Don't stop doing what you're doing. What you're doing is really helping me." And it's just for me that that's everything.
it puts things into perspective in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So yeah, but yeah, no, I would imagine I haven't gotten one of those yet, but
Yeah.
when I do, I'm gonna be super excited. I'm gonna be like jumping up like 20 feet in the air. Like, I
Yeah.
influenced the
It's
kid in a positive way. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I've had kids like even like teenagers will that are very artistic will draw me and send me pictures of drawings that they did of me. And it's just like I had no idea that I was influencing somebody, and it means a lot to me. I mean, I feel like I'm lucky to be able to get out of the conservative oppressive environment that I grew up in and be in a place where like it's more open-minded, people support me, and I'm able to just grow and be who I want to be. And I love that I'm helping other people to do that.
No, it's very inspiring, and obviously, it's something that it's a good thing overall.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's important. And I don't have any good words to say because it's like
Mm,
I don't want to top the message here. Um,
mm,
but anyway, um, yeah, no, obviously, if you want to be supportive and you need to follow people, you need to comment, you need to engage with them. It makes a huge difference in the long run. And obviously, Instagram is where you're at. So I recommend that if you like Disney princesses and that you want to get off Main Street and you just want to see a cool cosplayer doing cool shit, I don't know what to say that will convince you otherwise than that. Um, Very talented cosplayer is the ending point here, but I'm going to just quickly promote myself with everything I got. Obviously, I'm Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm a lot more active on Instagram right now. I'm way more active on YouTube as well under Pop Anime Comics. So I have a video coming out every single day of something that I've done, and there is an interview for you on my YouTube channel. So if you like pop culture, comics, wrestling, cosplay, voice acting, the occasional author, or some of my friends are beyond entertaining. I can't promise you'll get smarter with some of my friends, but you will be entertained for sure. You will be entertained for sure. um that's all I can tell you. I guarantee it. And I have almost 500 interviews up on my channel now, so
Mhm.
there is something for everybody on my YouTube channel, and it's free. So if you're interested in that, you could subscribe, check it out, Pop Anime Comics. And remember, you could change your mind if you do not find something you like at any given point. But I do appreciate when everybody checks that out. I appreciate when people share out my interviews and all that stuff. I have Buy Me a Coffee. I also have a t-shirt. I got a bunch of stuff. My ad rates are up there as well in the comment section down below for everybody who wants it. And I don't want to bore anybody with the rest of that stuff. All my links are down below, to the side, up above, or wherever else they're located in this whole thing, I guess. But on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Andrew, I just want to say thank you for letting me be part of your portfolio. Um, I'm honored, to do an interview with you. Really, I just feel kind of like a normal person. I'm just trying to exist and do my thing, and make a few friends along the way. Any notoriety that I've had is just coincidental, I guess. But the fact that you have done an interview with me, it means a lot to me that you see me. I think that's part of what it is. It's kind of like the avatar, like I see you, I see into you. When I feel like you're seeing me tonight. So thank you for that.
Well, I don't think I could say anything else that will top the end of that. So that is a wrap, everybody.